I know. I was trying to figure it out. I think I got it the last night. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes.
A second. All in favor? We have to do a roll. Oh, no, because Lee wouldn't vote anyways. Okay, so meetings minutes are accepted from March 12th. A friend's update, Lee, you're coming through very choppy with your voice.
Okay.
Your sound to us. So Lee did email out, I have it here somewhere. I have not heard.
Okay, because I saw him this morning, but I didn't, he emailed and asked, back on the 31st, when the meeting was, and I didn't mention it's Thursday the 9th. So-
Okay,
But I did reiterate.
that's fine. I didn't even think so. Yeah.
Long with a lot of stuff happening, so.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's fine. So I'm just gonna read Lee's quick update, if everyone would have gotten the email, but program attendance has been robust from our early April. Friends are working on membership brochure and flyer. Patrons have already started using the seed library for flower, vegetables, and herbs seeds, which is fantastic. 49 families have engaged with the neighborhood forestry tree program for 73. My gosh, I read that wrong totally. 73 baking aspen saplings are being distributed for Earth Day. Very exciting. May 7th, Milford Dairy Queen fundraiser. 10% of the profits will go to the friends. So that's also spread the news because no flyer is needed. People can just, it doesn't matter who goes to Dairy Queen. It's Lee, and is there a time on that? Like, is it 5 to 8 or something? 5 to 8 p.m.?
I didn't record a time, but I can check with Lisa and get back to you.
Yeah, it's usually like 5 to 7 or 5 to 8. There's like a certain time. It's probably on whatever you guys put on for a flyer, but I haven't had to take a look at it yet.
Okay.
And then as you likely noticed from your seats in the library, you are filling up the book sale. Yes, there are a lot of books here. So they have started sorting and moving books. And the next Friends meeting will be Monday, April 27th at 7 p.m. Excellent. So anything else since you've written this email, Lee?
No, that's about it.
Okay, excellent. Anybody have any questions for Lee? Okay. All right, then we're going to move on to the director's report.
Okay.
Go for it, Andrew.
If anybody if they need a copy, it's in the middle of the thing. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
So things are just moving along. Staff for the month, all April shifts are covered. I will be gone next week, Wednesday, taking vacation days, seeing if I need to use them or lose them. Some of them. And then Tara will be on vacation that Thursday through, I think it was the 24th, something along those lines. In any event,
Yeah.
But our vacations do not sort of overlap, so all in shape there. I met with the staff on Tuesday, March 17th. We talked about staff evaluations, which will happen in May. I am going to reach out to Chris Nudd about AED and the opiate rescue box that's upstairs for instruction. When I met with the friends last week. Last week. Last week. And some of the friends were interested in also getting some instruction. So I think the kind of thing that maybe it would be good to look into in the fall. And see if we could get a number of people who would want to take the training. I know that the last time we did it, Tara and Chris were not able to, so they would certainly be the AED. And the other staff would do the opiate. But if it's not a bad thing if you do it like every year. So the idea was initially every other year, but frankly, if we had those who have done it there before, I don't think that's a big issue.
No, definitely not.
Let's see. It's looking likely that Tara will be joining the town hall union. I do have the town's contract proposal for Tara. We can discuss all of that when we get to that agenda item. Which is meetings. And we did talk at length about what her thoughts were on it and 2 cents. And I have a pretty decent idea of where we're at with that.
Okay.
I did see both Jeremy and John Neal this morning to ask about this. It's a very new thing for us because we haven't had a full-time person in the union, and how do the trustees and how does it work with the trustees?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know entirely at this point. I think I've got some pretty decent idea of where this has got to go. So we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Facilities. The catch basin at the front entrance is caving in. Unfortunately, when they did the asphalting, they only went about a foot down as far as the putting in the blocks and reinforcing. And really, they should have looked like about 4 feet down. And that didn't really happen. So, well, yeah.
They met their contract. So before we go anywhere else on that one, they did exactly what we were contracted to do. I had to sit down with John.
Okay, all right, good.
So,
because I asked John initially, like, okay, well, do I need to go back to Harshaw? And he said, well, it's not like the highway department, this is something we deal with and can tackle, so they're gonna do it. And yeah, in the contract, it doesn't necessarily stipulate that sort of reconstruction, if I understand.
Yep.
In any event, and I don't know.
We didn't know any.
No.
No one knew, right?
Just as an update here on Monday this next week, they will be here at 8 a.m. They will be, as far as I understand it, a police detail, because anybody coming in during open hours, they're going to need to actually enter from the exit.
Okay.
So that'll happen during the day. Book club meets that night at 6:30. He said by that point they should be finished and it will actually be done enough that people can drive over.
Okay.
They'll level up on the gravel, and it will be properly reinforced. And I believe a week later, somewhere around there, if they settle a bit, then they'll re-asphalt
That area. Okay.
And the highway department does that also?
Yes, yeah. And that's assume what you.
yeah, I ran into him and it was really funny time. Literally, we were going in different directions. We stopped cars and we chatted for a while. And I asked, I said, hey, I saw the dig safe marks that were, around the catch basin. It's like, yeah, we did that. Here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. And I asked that exact question. I'm like, shouldn't we go after, the.
Right.
It's like, well, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They were contracted for paving, not for rebuilding the catch basin. And when John explained it to me, it was full of water, and as we started to suck everything out, you could see at the bottom, like cinder blocks and things just coming in. He's like, well, it's gonna happen. They're old and, that's not on the paving guys. It's just.
So I don't know if it misspoke in terms of like they said, like 4 feet down is what has to start.
Yeah, no, you're spot on from there.
All right, so
It was just good timing.
well, if they drove by and they said, you do know that that's, and I said, I didn't know it looked like there's cracks.
Right.
There, so, less than a year out from the work. So, it's gonna be taken care of. Cool. And it will be fixed. Probably in the next 2 weeks, the asphalt.
Solution of plan.
That's great. And execution.
Yeah.
Folks wanting to really make it and do it right.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
And not having to come up with the budget, the money to fix it, you know what I mean? Like it's.
Catch basins are part of the highway department's purview and
Yeah.
making sure that whole
That's great.
system is working.
It's just not.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of John's, and it's just transparency, he's been rocking John,
Yeah,
so it's
great.
This is just another good example.
Yeah, so I went outside, took a look at it. It's funny.
I know,
Um,
I know.
Got a list.
I bet you do.
the other good thing at the front is that the tree is done.
Yeah.
With all the gnarly branches, I believe the tree warden called, they contracted something. They came out, chopped up the trunk, chopped up the branches and that, and so that's all set, taken care of, gone. World Band replaced the uninterruptible power supply and the router cabinet. They haven't been billed yet. I think that's gonna be around 300. For replacement of that. ADC septic stopped by, and it was kind of funny because he was at the back and pumping out the septic field, and I'm looking out there, and I'm like, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do the trough. He, I don't think, realized it was supposed to be the trough. He said he would take care of the trough anyway, which he did. And so then I called ADC to say, when I gave specific instructions, it was for the trough to the left of the walkway, you know, as you come in here. And she said that that guy's been doing it for a long time, so if he saw that the septic field itself was needed to be pumped, that,
Yeah, but are they gonna charge us more for that?
well, I haven't received the bill yet. She was gonna get back to me. I am a little surprised because about 6 months ago was when I pumped it the last time, I believe. There was a full pump done in August. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna get back in touch with her. I thought she would give me a call once it was all. when she
Is
had
that
contacted
little
this guy.
for,
It is short.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I know residential, we only do it like every 2 years, but
Right.
is that more, you would do it more frequently, I would think, for a business?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, that sort of thing probably could be done once a year. It doesn't need to be done every half year.
It definitely doesn't need to be, so is that there?
That to me is they're screwed up.
No, but they show up, they don't, we didn't request the pump,
No, I did, but
You
I
did.
just requested the trough be pumped, not the.
but you
septic.
requested it because it needed it?
Every 6 months, the trough is.
The trough is, okay,
but
all right.
Not the.
not the tank itself, okay.
So I will get clarification. from her. Hope that we wouldn't be. Sure, it's based on how much is actually pumped out too, so hopefully it's
Right.
whatever's pumped out, it's a lot less than you want to figure.
Right, but if you specifically requested the trough to be pumped out,
Mhm.
and they came and started with the other one, that's not on us, that's on them.
I was specific.
Yeah.
We'll get it sorted.
Yeah, let me know if there's any issues with
Yeah.
that.
Let's see. Budget, we spent 24,408 in March, 13,600 in salaries and 10,700 in operations. At this point, 71.3% of the budget has been spent. We should be at about 75% at this point. So we're running a bit behind. I know the areas where we are running behind, and we need to shore that up in the next 3 months. The larger areas of expense for the month were utilities. Our bill for the month is about the highest I've ever had. National Grid, 2,160. Building maintenance was just under 3,000. Books a little over 3,000. I mean, I $8,000 a month. Make the books. But there's some ways we can. Like, and then in programming, we spent a little over 15. Programs. You can obviously look at the figures on your own, but story times continue to be very popular. Itty story and craft and alphabet all have had excellent attendance. We have 49 people at Ellen Henry.
Wow, great, I'm so mad I missed that.
Yeah, and Mary's had 64 in attendance. Music, Deb Hudgens, once again, she literally has 40 plus each time she's out. So it'll be unfortunate that we're going to lose her because of the retirement. However, we just put together an agreement with Evan Howard, who's been doing the music at the Blissful, like every couple of months. He's gonna be out, monthly
Okay,
going forward, and he's given us a discount. It's not a huge discount, but it's workable. And people love him, really, each time he's by 40 people.
nice.
Let's see, upcoming programs in April, not too much to go over there. Lee Balzer, who used to do puppet story times, is actually back for a very limited period of time. And she's doing a puppet making workshop with kids as well. So, good. Projects, first grade visits are arranged. Rebecca Harden and I worked out the dates. They're gonna be on Mondays, May 4th, May 11th, and then 2 sessions on May 18th. Something I didn't include here, but just in terms of outreach, they invited me over for literacy night, so I have a table at literacy night.
Nice.
And we get a drawing of book packs, like some things that we have, like people get on. And so there was a picture book pack, a graphic novel book pack, and a juvenile chapter book pack. So that was great. That worked out really well. And got some people signed up for the Friends organization that night also.
Nice.
So that was good. And let's see, projects, reading adult fiction. We are actually reading adult fiction now. We just finished nonfiction and bio. The hope is to get adult fiction done before the sale,
Okay.
so that we can, have all of those titles ready. We're, I don't know, the C's right now, something like that. So we just started, but we'll get there. Monica and I and Sue Ruggiero dropped some boxes of these books. There was more, if you can believe it. There was more here earlier this week. Probably dropped about 15 boxes over there. Maybe, I don't know if it's probably about 15.
Wow.
And we're going to try to keep doing that once they're sorted, to try to keep up with things and you don't get this to be too overcrowded.
Okay.
We also started taking a look at the cushions, the outdoor cushions. Noticed that about 4 or 5 got holes. We're going to kind of look into. I don't know if patching is going to happen, but we might be able to get some replacements.
I would say replacements. I wouldn't
Yeah.
patch them.
I don't really want to patch them. No, I just don't think that it wouldn't look good.
No.
And then the others, I think we're going to just try to do like a power wash on, because they're good. But if that doesn't work, then maybe we'll have to look into cushions or something at some point. We'll cross that.
That's a great example of, you started to build out the furniture line.
Right.
You have
Yeah.
cyclical expenditures to make sure current update on furniture. That's
Right.
Yes.
perfect.
Exactly.
Right.
Things break down over time, and we're going to be finding other things around here. that are
Right.
gonna need the same sort of attention. So.
Right. Stuff like gold, it's not worth even the cost to
Yeah.
have it patched.
Right.
Even if you had someone that was willing to do it for you, that,
They're all slip covers. So while most of them are slip covers, you'd have to.
that's the point. I mean, you're better off just
We're gonna
spending the money and getting new cushions.
We figured out what the company was and get some replacements. I'll let you know about that.
Okay.
We're doing a reclassification of Blu-ray DVDs, because sometimes we send out DVDs and they're Blu-rays and people can't play them in their players, depending on what they have. So we're having to reclassify about 50 or so, so that we don't send them out and then have people frustrated because
They can't.
it doesn't, yeah. Town news, all right, so Janice Muldoon Moore stopped in. If anybody doesn't know, Janice works with the prison system. And he'll stop at the book sale and certainly pick some things up, usually at the tail end of the book sale. She also, if that wasn't enough, working with all the prisons that she does, she also works with the Blackstone Regional Animal Shelter. She was asking whether or not the library would be interested in being a site for a pop-up pet food and supplies location once a month.
We just throw it for donations?
Yeah, so, well, no, not donations, it's basically giving out to people,
Oh,
yeah. Essentially, you would need 2 spots in the lot, probably like a pop-up tent.
Would they be manned by anyone?
Yeah, they'd be manned by individuals from the animal shelter.
Oh, okay.
And you're talking like 4 to 6 PM on the last Thursday of each month. So it's not a long period of time.
And it doesn't require anything from. the
Doesn't require
library.
anything from us. The only thing that it would require is if the weather's not great and they wanted to, I said, I don't know about the moving inside here. I just don't know, and I don't know what everybody thinks. I said I would tell the trustees sort of what it entails and then.
And it's not, we're not soliciting for things, they're providing things to folks.
Right, yep.
Because we went, even we, thinking about the Girl Scout.
Right,
Right.
that's it.
Yeah.
You know, this is a location for those.
They're not selling the
No,
stuff,
they're
they're
actually
giving it
distributing.
away
they're
to.
also talking about distributing informational flyers on local social and financial food assistance programs. Just, flyers.
Is the animal shelter a municipal group? So I know it's regional, but is it run by the towns? Or is it a volunteer organization? So I think there's even less.
Is it a nonprofit?
By the towns. If it's a nonprofit, it's still not necessarily hiccups, but it just asks different questions.
Right.
And personally, I think it's a pretty unique opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know, what are your thoughts? You look like you have thoughts.
I mean, well, no, I think it sounds like a good idea. I wonder if there could be some sort of like provisional trying it out and.
Oh, right.
Like,
Testing it
like
out,
testing
see
it
how
out
it
for
goes.
like, a couple months or something.
And see how,
Without like committing
Committing
to it.
completely to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's a good idea,
Yeah.
that's a good
But I mean,
idea.
it's, so the library's.
We're still open, we're just having our meeting, but
Okay,
you're still
sorry.
open, do whatever you want,
Thanks.
well, not whatever you want, you know. Within reason.
Out of your meeting,
You can, sure, it's a public meeting.
I don't know if you want to.
So the,
Like a provisional.
well,
time.
so the library is open in those hours, right? You said Thursday.
Yeah, yes, open until 7.
Okay, and they want this for. Yeah.
4 to 7. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, I guess I don't know what much traffic they expect.
Well, I know, what she told me is that they're looking for 2 sites somewhere obviously around here. And then, I think she wants to try for, Douglas, someplace in Douglas. I don't know if she's gonna check the library or some other place, might have been the senior center.
And I'm just curious, did they want it to be while the building is open or?
Well, that's a good question. I think that the issue is if the weather's really
Right,
bad,
yeah.
can it be moved in here and like just meeting now? I think that's.
I guess it
It
depends
seems
on
to
how
be
much.
under the Blackstone Police.
So I was just looking this up too, yeah, and there seems to be this, it's under Blackstone Police, but it's still a charitable organization. So it's make donations for animals.
Yeah.
But if it's actually under the police, therefore it's a municipal organization.
Yeah.
So I think that's even
Better.
an
More
easy.
reason.
Yeah, it's because they are supporting our town anyway. There's one animal control officer for, region or whatever that is.
Right,
That person is from Blackstone, but they support Mendon.
right.
So if we have animal control issues, we call them out.
Oh, they do, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
That's-
better time.
Yeah, and animal control officer Kevin Sullivan.
Okay.
And honestly, we could probably ask him, be like, hey, here's the question. Is the organization technically town or municipal or, a nonprofit attached to it?
Okay.
But I'm just. I think-
I like Elena's idea where if we can get them to say, we're willing to try it for a couple months, see how it goes. See if it's causing
Issues.
traffic issues.
Yeah.
That, as far as coming into the building during bad weather, it depends on how much stuff they're bringing with them. Like, are they gonna, how much space are they gonna take up? Are they gonna be in the
No,
way if you have a program going on? We don't really have a
Thursdays, well, and most of our programs are centered around Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Obviously, meetings occasionally on Thursday here, and I can't predict that because it's stuff.
Right,
But we, you know, somebody wanted to, would probably say, if they wanted to use, if the shelter wanted to use the inside, I would just make that a day. It's not possible for others to be downstairs,
right,
you know. But in terms of a program, it's on a Thursday.
true,
Every so often it happens.
right, but more so than on like a Tuesday, night. Right.
Yeah, that's,
So
And us,
two-
right.
two parking spaces and a tent with, table.
yeah, it's a-
right,
and I think she was hoping to set up like towards the front. Kind of makes sense.
well, so people could, so she has visibility from the road,
If you're going out like the first two spaces on the right hand side. And the table and sitting could be in that grassy area with a tree fell. Provided no tree falls.
Something about your report.
Right. So I think that's, you know, it's your call.
I don't have a problem with trying it out, certainly.
Yeah, because I can get back to her and say, listen, can we do a 2 to 3 month provisional
Yeah.
arrangement and see how.
So, I don't know enough, I don't have animals, so like, I'm assuming the people pull up, they'll have to then park and get out and get the stuff, and you think they kind of drive
I
up
think
and
they
say,
park
what I
in
want? Right, so it depends on how much traffic they bring in.
Right. Yeah.
Is it, you know,
She said, I think it's mostly pet food and like cat litter. But yeah, I agree. Like, how many people is that? What is that tendency?
right,
It's not like they would just pull up. Don't think they would just pull up and they just drop stuff in the car.
no,
You know, it's not like a drive.
like a drive-through, right,
Yeah, yeah.
they'd have
I
to
think they'd
physically
have
get out, go up,
physically-
tell them what they need,
Exactly. And then, like you said, how many people is that?
right.
So I think it's a provisional.
And I think they don't, I'm sure they don't even know, you know, they,
No.
I mean, maybe they have an idea if they've done it in other towns, but they don't, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have a problem with at least trying it.
All right, I'll call her tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you think we need to reach out to Kevin Sullivan first, or,
And to first, I think that's right.
okay, that's fine.
So a 3-month trial?
Yeah, I think if we tell them we'll do that,
So 3 seems fair to me.
yeah, and then if they'll give us the opportunity to revisit it at that point, and
Right.
you're gonna know better
How it
if
fares.
it's, yeah, and if you think it's not just disrupting everything else, then we can certainly put it to a vote at that point, but if, as long as you think it's not disrupting anything, I don't see
Okay.
why it would be an issue, and then, as far as the only thing that is questionable is the bringing inside, just because it's space, not because, I mean, if they're willing to come in down here
Right.
and have, even if they had someone outside, like directing traffic in or something, that's fine, because this is where the space is.
Right.
The space really isn't up there at your front door, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So as long as they were willing to do the inside down here and there was
Yeah, we'll
nothing
have
else
to
going
downstairs.
on.
Think upstairs. too.
Yeah.
We could have them downstairs here, and then it would just be a question of how much space.
Right.
Okay.
You know, because it's as long, when did you say, how many Thursdays?
It'd be usually the last Thursday of the month, 4 to 6 p.m.
So that would not interfere with our trustee meeting, and that's the only really set meeting on Thursdays, at rectory, but we keep it on the same day as trustee.
Right.
So
Yeah.
as long, that would be fine,
Okay. Yeah, I'll reach out to her tomorrow.
yeah.
Excellent. I didn't get a chance to meet with Jeremy in at the beginning of this month. There's a lot going on. And he's trying to sort of get everything back together, and I totally got it. So we'll just have to reschedule.
So he's back how did he come back?
He was back on the 1st. 31st or 1st, and it's like, my meeting with him is usually the first Wednesday of the month, so that was like literally.
That day, right,
when
yeah,
He came back, so I completely get it. And I mentioned the contract letter, and give him a copy, and everybody can sign tonight. I'll have these.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I did talk to Ann Corin at the last school advisory committee meeting. I don't know that we're gonna have another one after this. I think there's a lot happening at the tail end of the school year. However, I did take the opportunity at the end of the meeting to talk a little bit about the bus stop and like a middle school book club on site, which I think she's still interested in, which would be great. That's kind of the thing we do over the high school, the book club. The bus stop, once again, I think it's one of these sorts of things where we try to do a trial, like maybe do a once a week, like bus stop to see what happens with it,
Yeah.
and we go from there.
Did she say yes up to that, or?
I don't think she's opposed to it. I think there's some logistics. You know, I think that the issue is,
So we're hung up on the same thing.
yeah,
Same thing.
So I have to go back and talk to her again and say, because what it is it started with the permission slips.
Yes.
And then it's like, you know, I don't think she's worked through the details.
well, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like it's too nebulous right now. Like it's like a kid stops over, right?
Yeah.
But then you've got them here and they're not really supervised. So I started thinking about that the other day. I mean, there's some angles to this, but so I think we need to have like a really
I think
decent
the
conversation.
letter of the law is that the school takes responsibility for where the child is. They
Okay.
have to get a permission slip
Right.
if the school is gonna release that child. It's not a bus in their home.
Right.
So that's the point. And
Yeah.
I think the last time we left that, she said that it was she had to check to make sure that's all the responsibility was.
Okay.
The worst thing would be, to have this facility where any truant kid can decide to get
Sure.
fake a slip, get to the library and then just take
Then
off.
take off.
Right. Yeah. Well, exactly.
So,
So
they don't
what
want
is
that
their
thing.
responsibility?
Yeah.
So we're getting to the end of the school year. It's kind of a tough time, I think, to sort of tackle this.
I agree.
I'd like to revisit it. I said I
There's
was.
still a lot left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I said I would email her again, and I will before the end of the year, and just kind of.
All right. Yeah, it's really
talk
good.
about
So
concerns.
I just think she hasn't had it.
No, I feel like we just started as a school advisory committee, not this month, it's the previous month. Literally got 2 meetings, and I just think there's a lot going on. Obviously. So, and I think it'll get picked up again, the school advisory group, but it won't be until in September.
But it would be nice if we could get it in place for
It would be.
starting of September of
Yeah.
next school year.
So I think the thing to do, to send an email and just sort of get some details and start to at least hash this. Up. See if we can get something.
I'll go back and.
Okay. Regional news, I did meet with, Boston Valley Library directors. We did talk a little bit about program no-shows. Some of the libraries do an early registration with the first priority for their residents. I do know that a couple libraries, mentioned a month ban on no-shows, where they actually do use whatever program that they're using, there's like a block list. Not blacklist, block list. Shit,
Okay.
to block individuals from registering for programs if they have.
More than 3 no-shows.
Yeah, you can, I think you can set the parameters on it. So we did talk a little bit about that. I did talk to them about, somebody had, I don't know if they asked about the emergency plan. Somebody out of the blue, I think, asked about whether or not we had them. I'm like, what? Indeed, we do have an emergency plan here. I said, but it was just approved. My question is, does anybody have any fundamental issues with us or sharing the plan with, they just want to see it and see what sort of, what it entails.
Why read this? Yeah.
Why not?
I'm just trying to.
Public
Document, so, yeah, so they
Yeah.
save them the trouble of doing a public record.
Agreed.
I was surprised because there are a number of the towns that do not have this. I was surprised very much. But
I am,
yeah,
the fact that you're even talking about it
is, yeah.
and bringing it up in discussion is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So, I will send out to, it was like 5 or 6 directors that.
Yeah.
And I will send out.
As far as the no-shows, I agree, we can make that decision if we want to do it.
Yeah,
Possibly, but as
yeah.
far as like limiting registrations, like pre-register if you're a resident, and then we'll let the other people in. I don't think we should do that because we have a lot of people from other towns that come to our programs. So I wouldn't even, I wouldn't even,
It was kind of just kind of talking about it off the top.
Right.
It was interesting to hear. I think we're still kind of talking around this a lot and not really, we haven't really
right,
centered on what we want to do yet.
right. We haven't come up with an official.
Not that we can't, I think it's something that Tara and I can sit down and really have a chat about. But, you know,
Return to books.
the idea of, flocking and that sort of thing, I think that's kind of.
Right.
Up to her in terms of what he wants to do.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I know, I'm kind of on the fence as well. I have
You know,
reasons why I agree it should be done because
I do feel that there are, yeah,
we'll sign up and just not bother showing up because they can't. And other people were wishing they were getting in because they were on the wait list,
and
you
there
know,
are people
so,
who have regularly signed up and taken up a spot
right,
and then not show. So.
right.
All of which is to say, we still need to work that out.
Yeah.
And I will sit down with her.
Just to
Yes.
close up the last one.
Yes.
After you send that out, this documents, are these your documents? This is, it's don't reinvent the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm all stupid.
Okay. All right. So, before we move off that, so. And then what you sent out, give me the first part again, I'm sorry.
Send it in Word format. Don't
Okay.
send it in PDF. Because if it's a Word format, it's easier for them just to copy, paste, and do whatever they need to.
Right,
Finds their name and find our name, replace it with theirs or whatever they want.
Right.
right.
And you sent us the word.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But if you go.
The fines.
Yeah.
The fine.
What about-
I'll go back and.
Gemini make it up.
So I've actually played around with a couple of different AI tools to, not for this, but for something different on developing either reports or policies. It does okay. It gets you close. It'll get you kind of the bones of what you need, but there's still a lot of, I found.
No, I mean, take the policy document you have for a bus and just change the names around.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Then
Yeah, that'll do just fine.
That would be straight, absolutely. And ours works for our community because of the, structure we have with police, fire, EMS, and this facility. Some of those things won't work for all communities.
Right.
All right, I'll take a look, make sure that I've got that, and I'll let them know that you're more than willing to sit down with them if they.
So I'm here for us.
I think it was like, Grafton was there, Blackstone. Upton was there.
Awesome. I worked with most of those people.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And let's see. Oh, I did attend a webinar with MHEC, which is a procurement service that's used by a lot of school and public libraries. The reason I did was because they were going to talk furniture. It was very brief. It was like literally a half hour, but at least I have a contact I can go to. We've discovered, we have found a couple things that would fit the cost or that's available through the Friends for the chairs,
Chairs
sofa
upstairs.
chairs upstairs. However, I suspect that there might be some even better discounts through MHEC.
Okay,
They work with over 200 furniture vendors, so it's quite a few.
yeah,
And because there are so many, I think that they will help out, say, like, this is what our criteria are. What.
Yeah, why not?
So I am gonna reach out to their contact for that. I just attended that session this week. One additional item. This was last time we were talking about certification and whether or not, if the budget line for, building maintenance went to facilities, we talked
Yeah.
about this. And if it went to facilities, would that affect the municipal appropriation requirement that the state has? So I did write Kate Merlin, who's at the MBLC, and this is what she responded to me. She said, hi, Andrew, if the town is moving the maintenance building budget for all or most of the departments, then we can do a one-time adjustment for the MAR in which we take the previous 3 years' line items for maintenance out of your previous 3 years' budgets and recalculate based on those numbers.
That's
Okay,
super smart.
yeah. When it happens, we'll need a letter from the town explaining what's happening, why, and showing us that it's not just happening to your budget, i.e. proving that this isn't just a way to decrease your MAR. Let us know if you have any questions. So that's essentially
Yeah.
the letter.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't think that that would be the case this year, but who's to say in the future they may
Right.
move that one. And so that's the route to go.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's what we were all hoping.
Yeah, definitely.
This is not something uncommon.
Yeah.
Something
Definitely.
changes happen.
Lee, actually, before we get off the budget, the director report, Lee brought up a good point. She texted it to me just in case we couldn't understand her. She said, as far as the pet distribution, we may want to clarify / prohibit the limits as to, with Janice, as to whether or not people are allowed to bring their pets on property for pickup of the items.
Okay.
Which is probably a good point, because, people get out of the car, now they got their dogs, and
Well,
now.
I thought about that too, if they were
You know
gonna
what I
be
mean?
inside here and then suddenly you're bringing their pets in, like.
Yeah, but
that's-
even outside, it
Yeah.
causes more commotion in the parking lot, and then you get kids getting out of their car with their parents, oh, look at that dog, and they go running over to the dog.
Yeah, I can
It's
find out,
it's
yeah,
probably not a bad thing to bring up.
I can find out from her whether, like, is that a common thing? Is that,
Right.
people stop, are they stopping off and then bringing their dog out over to the pop-up?
Right, and next thing we know, we have, our yard is a dog park, our grassy area.
Yeah, no, it's
It's like a slippery slope. It's
Yeah.
Place for pets and then you gotta go right down.
And it's not that we don't want to welcome the dog,
Sure,
no, it's a fine line, but it's.
But it's also, it's just the idea of getting your pet out of the vehicle and then that's just gonna create.
Right, and then, and my more concern is if a parent is here with their child and their child says, mommy, look at that dog, and they go running over.
And there's a lot.
Right,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You never know.
Bringing down parking lot.
Safety.
Well, that's.
That's amazing.
right, safety first as the
No.
man of the safety.
Safety.
That's a very good.
All right, yeah, so I will
Thank you,
definitely
Lee.
do that. Thanks, Lee. I will ask her what
Yeah,
is the sort of
just,
pet profile of these people.
and it's not, they can have their dog in the car, that's fine, but I just don't think.
Let's see if they have registration or not.
And are they, wandering around?
Will the dog officer be monitoring? Ow.
It did cross my mind if people come in when it's raining, like would they bring?
Would they bring their dog
Right.
inside and not want to leave them in the car?
Right, because
Right.
that's an issue just. in
Or if
general.
it's super hot out. And they decide to hold it in here because it's too hot for them to stand outside to pass out the food, is that gonna be, they can't leave the dog in the car because it's too hot
Well,
out?
we have a policy about pets.
Right.
What's allowed.
Right.
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 It made
System
you
is short.
mention that.
So definitely make her aware of that.
Yeah, in the traditional.
Mhm.
It might be. Maybe a national-
Yeah.
restriction.
Agreed.
Well, this is ballooned into something.
Oh,
But,
that's good.
I mean, that's what I had for the director's report. In terms of the budget, the only thing that I will say is I do have some concerns at this point with the books figure because it's a large amount we need to be spending month to month for the next 3 months. I have some ideas about that. We haven't really looked at, we do get ebooks through the region, but we could sign up for Overdrive Advantage, which allows us to pay for ebooks that go into the system and first use is to Mendon residents if they want them. Which, and ebooks, as everybody probably knows, are not inexpensive.
Right.
These days, if your a book is $30, a hardcover, like ebooks are 60 to 80. So that's something
That's
to
a
look
no-
into. I think I probably will look into because I'm planned on looking into it at some point.
Mhm.
Probably as good a time as.
Sure.
The only other issue. I'm obviously looking at the programming line, because there's about 2,100 left. However, I do believe, even despite the recent national grid bills, we're gonna have some money left in utilities fuel. That, you know, if we go over in programming, we can pull from that line. Supplies, I think we're gonna have some money in that line. Those two in particular.
Okay.
Perhaps building maintenance, but I've got some things coming up, like we want to do window washing, we need to do a carpet cleaning now that I should say, hopefully that the winter is. And then, some other things. In terms of- Well, certainly window and carpet. Those are one of the things that's escaping me.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about either the director's report or the budget?
No, but I do just want to clarify one thing. I wanted to double check before I spoke out of turn. According to the state of Massachusetts, approved service animals are primarily dogs and in rare cases, miniature horses.
Yes.
Oh,
You have a miniature horse now?
I do not have a miniature horse, but those are approved
Yeah.
service animals.
Yes.
And actually, it's a good thing for us to go back and double check policies because we are only allowed to ask two very distinct questions. Is the service animal required because of the disability? It's not asking what the disability, is it required because of the disability?
Okay.
And what work or task has the animal been trained to perform? So those are the only two questions you're allowed to ask for a service animal. An emotional support animal is not a service.
Right.
So
Okay.
and do we have an emotional support animal policy?
I have no idea.
Well, we have a dog that comes in to read to. to read to-
Oh, that's true. We
That
do
just
too,
reads to youngsters,
with
too.
tails.
So
You're
that's
you're on
another
the
miniature
miniature
horse.
horse. Yeah. You actually can have some service animals are designed to actually tow wheelchairs or like pull individuals.
Oh, oh,
And yeah, there's some are quite
oh.
capable.
I do agree with you though, because some people believe that that is a service animal when it's an emotional
Yeah.
support animal.
I worked at the paper store in Bellingham and we had a lady come in with a pig and she said it was her emotional support pig.
Yeah, and some states, I believe, actually you can have a service animal that is a pig. Massachusetts, it's dogs and rarely miniature horses. I've never seen, that according to the,
What classifies a miniature horse?
oh, I could get in a dissertation on that. Let's not go down that one tonight.
Yes. Right, that's Sebastian.
Sorry, I apologize for derailing
No,
the
that's
entire
okay.
conversation, but there you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're not entirely miniature in the traditional sense. I mean,
They're pretty good sized animals.
So they wear the same thing?
They are supposed to be identifiable.
Wow.
interesting.
It's a little bit
Really
bigger.
Wild.
I had one.
A little larger.
Yeah.
It's like having a Great Dane as your, you know.
True, some
It
great
probably is, it probably is the size of a Great Dane, but wider. Yeah.
Sure.
Huh, okay.
Wow.
The more you know. The more
But no,
questions you
that's
ask.
actually, those two things are something important probably for Andrew's staff to know.
Yes.
First, like, that should be something almost like taped to the thing, like, this is what you ask if someone walks in with a service animal. These are the only two questions you're allowed to ask.
And
That's actually not a
Yeah,
bad
you don't
thing
mind.
for the staff to be aware.
Yeah.
Because,
I agree with you because, you know, if somebody walks into the cat, that doesn't. bother.
right, I mean, a service animal, not an emotional support, that's a whole nother thing we have to
Absolutely.
talk about, but
Yeah,
We
a
also,
service animal,
true, we have to validate what our policy says.
correct.
as long as we're talking policies, I mean, is that something we need to define within the policy to say service animals do not include emotional support animals?
You absolutely can, because by the Massachusetts law is the Disabilities Act. Nope, I'm not gonna state a year, but
I think
you
it's-
absolutely can.
I think it's under the, I have to look, I think it might be under the patron behavior policy.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have to look. Support versus service. That is the sort of thing, next time if I just bring that and spell that out.
Yeah.
Do I need to spell out? Do we want to put that part in there about what
The two
constitutes a service animal in the state of Massachusetts?
Sure.
It can't hurt.
Okay.
We can always reference what the law is.
Right.
Then it's pretty easy. And so folks ask questions, they say, we're just going off of Massachusetts law. Here it is.
Right.
Yeah, so part one being emotional support versus what is a service animal, and then what is a service animal in the state of Massachusetts, and then those two.
Yeah.
Parts.
The dogs that come in for tutors for tails, that was a good
Yeah,
point. So,
they have
Do
the
the-
best on it. So-
yeah, but do the owners consider it as a service animal because they're there for technically emotional support, kind of.
I can't speak to that. We would have to have a conversation with the owner.
Yeah.
But that's a substantial program, right?
Yeah.
I feel like
Program
that's-
versus.
That's a program, it's different, but I just didn't know, like, if someone says, oh, but you have these
It's
dogs
like the
come in.
program you do when you have the zoo come in and bring in.
Right.
Right.
So that's a program set to do something educational.
Okay, good point, good point. Oh, Lee's putting something in the chat, hold on,
Mhm.
bear with me.
Having programs with animals is all the more reason to be more restrictive about other people bringing them in.
Why can't I see the chat? Oh, there.
Absolutely.
That if it's a program, somebody is responsible for the
Be
animal.
mindful.
Mhm.
You may also want to be mindful of set guidelines of people bringing pets allowed or not allowed. Therapy dogs are different than emotional support. Oh, okay, so therapy dogs versus service dogs versus emotional
Well, that's
support
the
animals.
question. Is
So it's like three different things. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
therapy dogs are trained and have certification, like that come into the library or
Okay.
public spaces. It's a different,
Got it.
Okay,
That's for, as an example, for autism, PTSD, there's a whole bunch of other things where
Yeah.
it's often referred to as a therapy dog, but it is a service animal. That's
Okay.
it. That's
so sometimes the school has that too, right? They bring in the therapy dog. Okay, I don't know about our school, but I've seen it online where school
Douglas does.
districts have
Sure.
brought in dogs for that reason.
These are great. too.
I mean, it's a policy document, this thick, it's all online, I have no idea what it's servicing policy. I have no idea. It's on policy, but don't, I have no idea.
You're welcome to give your homework. Sorry. But short answer for, we'll pull out the old one. I'll get the law and the questions and everything, we can figure out that part. to make
Okay.
NIMUP does have a comfort dog to the police station.
Oh, right, okay, I knew I've heard about it somewhere.
And the comfort dog. No, I'm gonna just stop there. Because I don't know the training that animal has been through. So.
They would
Service-
probably be
service
considered
dogs
a
have very
therapy
specific-
dog. A
very
comfort dog is
specific-
probably considered a therapy dog.
Possible. Right. But like also for school districts, your canine elements are allowed to come in, always. So the
Right.
police have a canine.
Police, right,
And they're doing either, any form of sniffing, they're gonna be on premises.
right.
And not just sniffing for good treats. For pets. So,
Well, it's a good treat to that.
or good treats too.
Right.
That's true. It's to get the treat.
Right.
That's true.
That is true. Wow, who thought that would take us down a rabbit hole? Okay, so.
Miniature horses.
I had to look it up to make sure I remembered it to be true.
So,
That was exactly what was going on.
yeah, so no, my husband has worked constant security for many years and on and off more so recently, but they went through this whole big training where when the whole emotional support animal came into play a couple of years ago, that technically if somebody walks up to the gate and says, here are my tickets, I have a pig, a cat, a parrot, whatever, this is my emotional support animal, they can't ask any questions. They have to let them in with it.
Each facility is a little different. So I've worked a couple
I'm sure,
where you're
I'm
allowed
sure.
to distinct, is this a service animal? And then if it is, those two distinct questions. And because it's private property, in so many cases like that, you're allowed to turn away other ones, if it's not a true service.
Yeah, this particular thing, I don't know if it comes from Live Nation telling them that they can't, that they can't turn these people away or what the situation is, but yeah. I don't think they've really experienced anything major, but that was the big joke, like someone could come in with a miniature horse and come to want to see the show, and we can't tell them they can't, and they're in seat, 5A, row A, seat 5, and, can you imagine? Yes, I can.
They don't even need to get a ticket for the horse.
No.
Like, somebody-
Nope. Anyways, are we ready to move on? Any more questions? Okay, so was that part of, I guess, policy
We
update?
didn't really have a specific policy that we were,
Yeah, and I haven't done the one pager for the Narcan stuff yet,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's on the to-do list.
and I'll look into, I'll look at the program policy also in terms of what we said about animals in it. But I'll specifically look for, that section of, but I guess it's patron behavior, like a patron policy with patron behavior policy that discusses, animals or the, and see how I can expand it.
Okay,
But if you want to send me that,
I got it.
info, that'd be great. Okay,
all right, so that moves us on to contracts,
okay,
updating contracts.
okay.
So why don't we, just before we get into the whole big discussion, let's get through, we have one more copy that we have to sign for Andrew's contract,
Over.
so that he will then ask Lisa to stop by and have her, get her signature. All right, so I believe I'm gonna leave the top line blank for Lisa.
That's all. And if you want to date that as well,
Okay.
just today's date, it matters that there are two different dates for these.
What do you want me to
At the bottom.
Oh, here, today is 4/9/26. Thank you.
Is that it?
I think it just comes to me.
Oh, just to you?
Well, it's
Still the
Oh, I
trustees.
think
just for,
I think
Oh, yeah, Sean doesn't have, sorry.
that's, yeah,
Sorry,
that's,
I got
that's
my,
right. Yeah,
thank you.
and I'll get in touch with Lisa.
All right, so while that's going around, the next thing is to discuss Tara's contract. We kind of, I believe that it was sent out, it was sent out a while ago. Lisa had, I believe, sent out a copy. I think she sent it out to everybody. I have a older copy. This has all the
If anybody
information, but
needs a copy, I can make. of the one I know. You've got-
Working with their bargaining.
Okay, so that's
Well,
what
we're
I'm
not-
trying,
that's what we're
that's
trying to
what I'm, hopefully talk a little bit about. I don't know that I have all the details, but because you're right, literally this goes away
Right.
once she's in the union.
Right.
She's in the union because it becomes a collective bargaining.
Right, because their contract would be with the.
And then my question
Union,
is,
not
at
us.
that point,
okay.
how does that work with the trustees? Because the trustees are also involved in sort of setting what they believe would be a proper salary for time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hand these out, or I'm gonna send these around. I just kind of crunch some numbers in that.
Did she get a chance to write something? She had mentioned
Oh,
something. You
all
had
right.
answered it.
Yeah, we talked about that, but I'll tell you what questions I went through with her today on that, and then I can kind of relate what we talked about when I posed the questions. So the sheet that I'm giving out is breaks down what she's currently making, what the breakout is for the FY 27, 28, and 29. And what the increase is year over year. And then I went into, and she had looked at it as well, NBLC has a spreadsheet of virtually all positions across the state and what is the minimum and what is the maximum of those salaries for children's librarian, for adult services, for library director, for library assistant. And that's so what at the top is her current rate is listed. I'm not gonna go into numbers because.
That's fine. We can read them.
Yeah, and then, the 27 rate is a 9.4 increase over FY 26. The FY 28 is a 2.8 increase over 27. And 29 is a 3% increase over 28. You'll see what the final figure is, the FY 29 yearly salary. So after 3 years, the cumulative increase over the current year is 15.9%. Right now, she's operating under the town's personnel policy. Should she choose to join the union, which is looking very likely, my understanding, she'd be operating under the union policy. I actually have like a union policy and I have a town personnel policy.
Okay.
Both. They're older, so I need to get some updated versions because I think the town personnel policy just got approved and finalized and approved. And the union, what I have was like 11 years ago. I can't imagine that's what they're using still, but maybe they are. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know.
I mean,
you know?
it's still, I think it hasn't been signed yet.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, still being negotiated.
So, and if, in the case of her joining the union, the above numbers that are on this document that was sent to her, the draft, no longer apply. The initial hourly rate recommended for Tara that was given to the union by the town is based on the step closest to the FY 27 town hourly rate. At least that's what I was told. I will tell you that the union rates that I heard from Tara are higher than what is listed here.
And this is based off information she got.
She
from
received from Dan
Dan.
as the union representative.
Okay.
As such, her contract negotiated through the union would be at least as much as the town contract proposal for and likely. So we talked about this, and I don't know if you want my 2 cents on
I
what
do.
I think. I think that the first 2 years, I like the idea of looking at the FY 29 rate as the rate to start. And if not that, I mean, the trustees can sort of approve whatever number you want, right? But based on what I see here, as far as the 2025 library salaries and wages for Massachusetts, like the average minimum is 27.33 and the average maximum is 33.09. You can see what the FY 29 hourly rate is in the for the town's contract. And the median is 28.58 through salaries and wages in Massachusetts, and the maximum is 34.38. I actually went in then and I took a look at 14 libraries that have a municipality, a population of 6,999, because obviously we're 6,350 something. Just the heck of it, I wanted to see. And the minimum there is 26.97 and the maximum 32.69. So pretty close to the average minimum and maximum above.
Okay.
I looked also at the children's job description. There's nothing in the children's job description that so for example, she's doing programming, she's also doing adult programming, publicity and those sorts of things. So that there would seem to be things that could exist outside the children's librarian position. But because the Collins Center came to us and said, what are the things that you do? Her position is all mapped out in the children's librarian job description. That is all of the things that I mentioned. Sure. Assistance with young adult program, assistance with adult.
So we changed the
all of
job
the
description based on that, right?
Has
Yeah,
is all still relatively specific to what she does.
what she does, yeah.
Right. There's a couple, yes, sorry, go on.
That's not necessarily a bad thing
No,
until we get to the point where we're trying to hire a young adult or adult services librarian.
right,
Then it becomes a question of who's responsible for which part and what.
Right.
So like my brain's,
right, understood, absolutely. Because the question is, if you bring in an adult services, adult and young adult services librarian, ideally, they will be doing the adult programming or the lion's share of adult.
Mhm.
And they'll be the ones setting.
Mhm.
At that point, absolutely, you have
And they
to
get
look,
brought in at the same rate or more than what
Well-
what the children's librarian is at.
and not only that, you have to look at
Depends
the
on-
whole new job description for that,
Of
which we don't
course.
currently have.
yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Right now she's covering it all. And
Yes,
right now, even if she wasn't there, who's ever would be filling that position would be covering.
Correct.
And that's the important thing to remember is the
Right.
position versus the.
She's also acting as, I don't want to say assistant director, but she steps in
you step
for
in
when Andrew's not here. She's acting as,
And that is-
acting assistant director, I
and
guess.
it's in the job description, but at the same time,
Correct.
there are other libraries where the adult services person climbs into that role. Or the circulation supervisor climbs into that. And so like, if you look at the spreadsheet, it doesn't tell you that in that spreadsheet.
Correct.
Those individuals, there are certain individuals who have added responsibility beyond just being a children's librarian.
Right.
Not that just being, I mean, it's a huge
Right.
task in and of itself. So I do not feel that, at least my feeling is that the first two rates that are listed for FY 27 and FY 28, I feel those are too low. That's just my feeling. I'm just giving you my 2 cents. I feel that she's been in the position for, let me think, now, 13 years. Has been doing programming above and beyond children's programming. Has been filling in for me when I'm not here, which is a great comfort to me.
And
Because,
she has brought our programming from, not that it was poor before, because it wasn't, we had good programming, but she has quite the following. Definitely.
Absolutely. But I think that outside of that, it's up to you, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, the question for is the union question, and I
That's a
think
different
what would have to happen is if you make a decision or decide on anything, and I don't know if you need to, but I do know that they're meeting on the 15th, I think. The next meeting of the next bargaining meeting is on the 15th.
And I've not been part of it.
And so I told Tara, if that is something that you want to be part of the union, you need to reach out to Dan prior to the 15th.
Yeah.
So that he knows you're in the fold and that can go forward. Now, I don't know on the 15th, and I didn't have a clear enough answer if somebody should be on hand on the 15th from the trustees. That's next week. It's the time, it's like in the morning. I think it's at 10:30.
I think those marketing, I don't know that we would have I don't know that we would get an invite, nor should we, because there's already likely a set group of folks who are involved in those negotiations. And that's based on both the union side and the town. Well,
I
what
don't
is
think you should touch base with Dan. You just,
actually, it would be the town side, that's the negotiating side from the town, we would reach to them as a trustee, as a body, to say, we understand, we have an employee who's coming into this. This is the current rate structure that we understand. We feel that this is fair, not fair, or here's our point or counterpoint. Because that would then allow us as a body to inform the negotiation, but we don't really have, as soon as it.
We don't have a say in the
We don't have a say.
negotiation.
so, what I want to say is that,
Table.
that when I talked to Tara, that was her feeling was that rate, if she could come in at that rate,
So that rate meaning what we have listed as FY 29
FY
being the
29.
FY 27 rate.
that's why, yeah.
And
Now,
is that close to what's that step position from what Tara understands would be for the?
so this is the issue is I'm not exactly sure what the union's number is. There was a lot of numbers thrown.
Yeah, that particular union is a bit of a patchwork.
Yeah,
Because it's got.
yeah, and so when she gave me a number, it felt,
Very different roles.
it
Okay.
felt like that number was a little above this last number, for the initial year,
Okay,
but I think somebody needs to get clarification on
but
that.
I think that there's also like a negotiating thing that you guys, well, we won't do necessarily, but somebody, I'm assuming Jeremy, right? I don't even know if it's even the person that would do the negotiating from the town
So, I mean, I think Jeremy and Jen.
And Jen, yeah,
and Jen.
But I mean, I've not been involved with it, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I mean, I think during those meetings.
So for example, I'm just throwing this out as a hypothetical only. So for example, if the trustees agreed that we would like to propose that we change the potential rates FY 27, 28, 29 to have FY 27 start at this higher rate,
right,
this higher rate, and then therefore change the other ones accordingly.
Right.
And then they bring that forth to the union and the union comes in with a higher rate.
They might.
They potentially could negotiate and come up someplace in between. Correct?
My understanding is you can come up with whatever number you want, right?
Yes.
But that would be my,
Right.
if you, I think the idea is to have a rate in mind of what you believe she should be at
Mhm.
for the beginning of a 3-year contract. Put that forward. And then it's very possible that the union.
And then keeping with,
has
yeah, I
a
mean.
step that's higher than that.
Correct. The other thing that we run into, and we really have no control over it, is we can come up with any number we want. We can say we think should get $1 million a year, and
Exactly.
you know.
Right, it is not always.
Correct. But that doesn't mean that the union can't. I would assume the union has a little bit more, can put a little more pressure on them than we, as if she was just under the trustees. I don't know.
My sense of it is that it's best for you to have a number in mind that the union knows about. And then you go forward from there.
But you're saying you as in we as this
You
body,
as the
This body,
trustees.
as a
this
trustee.
body has no authority in that negotiation.
Right.
No,
You
but
know,
what he said,
Jeremy and
but
Jen.
But what Andrew's saying is we have authority to say,
You should at least.
this is
put
what
forth.
was proposed by the town for Tara's contract.
Okay.
We, as a trustee group, can say, we would like to change these numbers prior to the union discussion. We don't, I'm just saying, in general, that's what Andrew's saying.
Yep.
So if we can go in with a change and a start, then I guess, does the select board need to then approve that prior to going into the union discussion? I don't even know.
Not likely.
Because at that point, the union, once she's part of the union, this goes.
It goes away completely anyway, so it's null and void.
And like Andrew's contract, we signed. So actually rates, like what he makes is
Right.
based on what we as an elected body sign, not what the select board signs. So my next question then is, our budget, what we requested, do we have funds to meet that number that you're asking for?
And so when I talked to Jeremy, he said that, and this was in reference to the union,
Right, but okay, go ahead.
that there is, what did he say? Hold on, sorry.
Does it mean another?
A labor negotiation reserve. Is that what you're asking? Like,
That makes sense.
So
So,
that for the union, if something's negotiated higher, there's a labor negotiation reserve that can be tapped into.
within the union,
Correct. What about for us?
what if she decides not
That's
to
a
go
good
to the
question.
union, right?
I don't know.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
does it mean the supplies line has to get smaller because now salaries got bigger?
I know.
We know books can't get smaller,
Right.
but
No.
every single other line item here,
Right.
consumed, can
Right.
get smaller if salaries gets higher because we're paying her more.
Potentially, yeah,
Right.
Because nothing else really is fixed.
right.
Other
So I
than
think
Book.
kind of what the best way to go about this. I would say you would say our preference is for X, right?
Mhm.
And you tell Jeremy, our preference is for this as her starting salary for FY 27. Is this something that, is this, to your question, is this something that realistically could be accommodated? Is that what you're asking?
You know, that's a question to you, because our budget here at the library is your budget.
Right.
That we're putting forward to make sure we're requesting the right numbers. So that's Jeremy has a good touch point for that, but he's also looking at the entire town.
Time.
But if it comes to union specific, yes, the reserve is there because these shifts do happen.
Right.
But like for us,
I mean, clearly he's made the accommodation, he's made the, I mean, having given these figures, he's made the accommodation for what you see here.
Right, and with the union. So say, for example, say they approve a much higher rate, whatever the rate is. And then the union reserve kicks in and helps support her salary. Is that only for this year? Then we have to come up with it, kind of similar to like if we were using state
Yeah.
aid.
Right,
And then we'd have to come up with it in our budget for the following year.
yeah.
I don't know how that works with the union.
I don't remember how it works with other departments where they have. Like, so like the health department
Mhm.
and. I mean, it's. I think it's still in the department budget, even though the salary is negotiated by. the
So
union.
it's in the department budget, but like, for example, like I said, if this FY 27, they say, oh, well, it's higher, the library budget can't take it in FY 27, but the labor reserves can help out with that and make it happen. FY 28, now is it 100% the library responsibility to make sure it works?
I think it would be in the libraries, yeah.
Budget moving forward after the union reserve or labor reserve would only be for that one
It's just for the negotiation.
negotiation year.
So Jeremy and the select board is going to be looking to you for advice.
Good point.
That's really what it is. So if you advise, which they're going to go, well, that's going to gut the budget.
And that's gonna be another warrant article.
Yes.
So,
I mean, you can bring donuts to the negotiation.
right.
No, really, you're supposed to be an advisor for the town.
So
Okay.
do I need to be on hand for this union?
Don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Meeting with the town. And really honestly, if these guys have questions, then you answer the questions to us.
Right.
Then whatever budget they come up with, or whatever salary they come up with, that becomes part of your budget. That's what it works.
I don't think it necessarily cuts into other parts of the budget.
What kind of?
Well, by that I mean,
Well, if like
In
to,
future years.
yeah, to
Yeah.
Allison's point, if salaries goes up, we've got to find that money somewhere.
right,
I mean,
So-
if you look at the difference between what she makes now, which is 39,764, and what we're proposing for the fiscal year
Right.
29 rate, that's $6,500 difference. So does that mean programming now has to be 19,000 instead of 25,000? Or do you, each line item has to be cut by 1,000 or something along that?
Got figured out.
Yeah,
And it would be future years
Right.
budgets, not the one that's already been.
Not the.
right,
So you get a year to kind of work it out
right.
and
And I
massage the
and I
numbers.
think, yeah.
Do I think that that's something that we could do?
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
I think it is. I'll take a look, obviously, at the numbers again, but I think it, like, if we're talking like, you were saying, 6,700, something
The
like that.
difference between the two is like 60. 60.
So I guess
It's
we
all out
have,
of books, but I mean, it'd have to come out of.
Something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I guess because the union negotiation meeting is on April 15th, which is only
It's next week.
next week,
6 days away.
what do we have to do for us as a
As a group.
group tonight? Do we have to have a vote on something? Do we have to?
I will put forward a motion to present to the town representative of the union negotiation a hourly rate subsequent to the FY 29 recommendation as the FY 27 rate.
might need to be more specific in motion. But.
True. Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Okay.
so-
No, you're right, because it is, yeah. So, let me, amendment one to motion one. No, I'm just kidding. I put forward a motion, that we inform, again, the town representative who will be conducting the union negotiation of a FY 27 rates to be raised to $29.55 from what the original recommendation was.
And then the following years.
I am only gonna present the recommendation to show the 1 year, and then the negotiation can have the discourse as such. So my
Okay.
motion is only for a
Fine.
single year recommendation.
And it will kind of be based on whether she joins the union or doesn't join the union. We
Correct.
don't need to come up with another year's number if she says that's great,
Right.
still gonna join the union.
Correct.
Correct.
So it really is just that one base year.
Okay.
If the union negotiates something more than this, which I
Well,
don't know,
no, let's pause. We have a
Yeah.
motion on the floor.
sorry, excuse me.
Okay.
I second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
There we go.
Okay, so that motion has been approved. Does Andrew present that then to the town administrator, I guess?
No, I think.
We should.
The head of the trustees does.
Okay.
We voted on.
So Lisa was not here, so what I will do is have, no, you're right, you're right.
I mean, yeah, reasonably should be signed by her. I mean, I would have something in writing, I would assume, right?
Hmm.
And sign to say, or no.
Well, this is just
Those are just
communication.
informal.
This is just
Communication.
communication. It's in, I mean, we could. I have the letter, I don't know how to make it. But, this is just informing the negotiation. So we're presenting a recommendation. The motion was to inform the town representative that this is what our recommended number is.
Okay, so- And what Lisa can do, Lisa will do it in writing to Jeremy through an email.
Right.
And then it'll be in writing from the from the chairperson of the trustees
Makes sense.
to the town administrator.
As soon as you all voted on it.
Okay. Okay, I will, make sure Lisa is aware of that and ask her to do so,
It's already yell at me, it's fine.
prior to the 15th. I'm gonna say, watch the recording or listen to the recording because it was all James's idea now. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just,
You know,
no, I agree.
blamed for worse.
I agree. I mean,
That's really a question though, if you're all comfortable.
the only, I'm comfortable. The only other option would be to give her a title change.
Okay, so we did talk
And then
about
that's
this.
something, are we even at that stage and ready to do that? Because it's not just her. Again, we have to take
So she
her
and I,
out of the situation and discuss.
talked about that. And she felt like trying to introduce both of these things in the same year was going to be an issue.
Agreed.
And that maybe it's something you can table and look into down the road.
Okay,
I said, well, all right, what sort of, title change are we talking about? Is it children's librarian / program coordinator? To James's point, would that even be the case if we have an adult services person who eventually would be taking on programming as well?
Mhm.
Is it? I just threw things out here. I said, is it children's librarian / assistant director? Because I have seen that before.
Mhm.
And that's potentially a direction to go in. I don't think we're there yet as far as what that is,
agreed.
but I think that it's possible that it's something that we can look at. Not necessarily this year unless somebody has another opinion
No,
on
I
that,
definitely
but.
don't. I just didn't, James does.
Jeez.
No, I don't think we should.
Oh, no.
I.
No, James has an opinion is what I meant.
Oh, yeah, I do, but I'm trying to be good.
Good, no.
I believe, especially as negotiations are in process right now, and if she is, whether she does or does not go towards the union, we're currently working with what that position title is today.
Regardless.
Like, right, and yeah, regardless of any other change or desires or where we think the library is, the question of title changes is really about library's direction. It's not about an individual, it's about execution of tasks and where do we see the future going?
Yeah.
And then with that comes delegation of authorities. So like that's no small little change here and there.
Mhm.
No.
granted, she meets and executes those things as the individual she is in the current role she plays. But I think that's a bigger, and honestly, that's a big one for the strategic look when we do the next evaluation for the next 5 years too, I think.
Yeah,
Something to keep in mind is that the title will be in the union contract. It's so like, that's, and that's typically for 3 years, and I think there can be amendments, but if, so
That's
if you
okay
talk
too.
about changing the
Right.
title, you can't just change the
Yeah,
title,
right.
it's gotta go
right.
through
Oh,
the
yeah.
union, so.
And the challenge also becomes if she's assistant director, she may now be in a leadership role, so therefore not be
No
eligible for
longer
the
a
union.
union.
Correct.
eligible.
So right now, I think we're, especially with an April 15 timeline. right now,
agree.
We're,
We just stay with where we're at, no, yes,
Yeah, I
don't
was
get involved in the title
Surprised that
situation.
that was, there is another meeting, I guess, on the 22nd,
Yeah,
but I think.
And I
the
don't,
sooner-
I mean, I don't think she's looking for a title change, I think it's just, it's.
No, I mean,
more
I
of
think
the-
it's something to be discussed down.
Yeah.
And if an amendment can be made at some point, and because we have done something, great, but I mean, honestly, right now, this is the time.
Right.
Let's see. We did go over the job description to see if there was anything else I needed to mention about it. And we did talk about certain responsibilities and whether or not we wanted to sort of reapportion some of these things to other staff as well, as to be more of a shared experience and that sort of thing. But that's all sidebar type stuff. It's not.
Right, and you have more staff now too, it's a little bit different than, you know, a year ago even,
Right.
of what you were working with,
Right.
you know, or 2 years ago. So
We're talking-
that's,
3 to 5 years on like an adult, a young adult and adult services position.
mhm,
Within that time, if you're talking title change, that changes things as well. So,
correct.
sure.
as far as the union goes, I mean, if the union negotiates something higher than what you just agreed upon, I'm assuming it's the same sort of thing where it's still got to come out of the budget. It's just that the union has now negotiated a higher figure, correct? Just wanted to make sure.
Well, it sounds like the first year, maybe not.
I think it depends on the timing, right? I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the town is gonna vote on the budget at the May town meeting one way or the other, and it sounds like sometimes the budget that the town votes on includes the reserves for negotiation. So whether, I don't know if we're gonna get to that point, so the other unions have all signed all of those. This is one.
I know that they said that there was something that was still
Yeah.
up in the air.
Yeah, and I don't know the details, so it's easy for me not to give any. So, so that May 12th is coming up pretty soon.
Mhm.
Yeah. And part of the reason I was like, I need to get this document to her because running out of real estate, I mean, like next month would be too late.
Right,
for this.
agreed.
Okay.
Okay, so I will, with this, I will, get Lisa, up to speed and ask her if she could send an email to Jeremy, really this week, for the weekend or something, so that he has it from, at least for Monday. And then, we will go from there on that. All right, thank you for doing that legwork, appreciate it. Strategic plan goals?
I don't have a lot on that count. I mean, obviously we talked a little bit about
Yep.
outreach. Don't think there's anything section. Still haven't looked at a tech inventory. I think this is something the town was going to do, a technology inventory, so I don't want to, duplicate, but do you have any sense of that, James, as far as what a tech inventory entails?
Entails, yes, I think part of it was already done, so let me go back and double check. Because I've seen a couple of spreadsheets that list out, like, a lot of resources. So I'll go double check.
Okay. Other than that,
Okay. Rectory Subcommittee, we are not meeting this week. Last month, we decided that we were gonna kind of hold off because Jeremy is trying to set up, obviously other things have taken priority, but Jeremy is trying to set up a combined meeting with the select board and the either members, representation from the Rectory Subcommittee and representation from the Council on Aging. And I would assume capital planning, to kind of all get into the same room to discuss the two projects of the rectory meeting, the rectory project as well as the senior center project, and kind of what does that look like as a group from the town perspective, and how do we kind of get on the same page and come up with a timeline, potentially to do both at some point. So until Jeremy has had a chance to set that meeting date, we're kind of putting the rectory subcommittee on hold until we know when that happens, and once that meeting happens, then we will kind of decide how frequently do we have to meet at this point moving forward. That's that update. Same thing as far as update from town administrator, I'm sure Jeremy will reach out to us with a date when he's able to join our meeting so that he can kind of go through that. So that's fine. Any topics not anticipated within the last 48 hours?
you just had one
Yes.
quick question. Somebody mentioned last time, is it Amy Bazell, assistant principals, and was there a reason that was mentioned and I forgot to put down what that was? Yeah, was there a reason I was supposed to talk to her or something that we were talking about?
He's involved in so much and
It wasn't,
you.
maybe we were talking about bus, but we were talking about bus for like Nipmuc. She wouldn't
was
be
Amy
involved with
involved
that,
with
but she, I don't know.
that? Not Nipmuc.
So I hate when
She's the principal.
I hate when I wrote this down and I'm like, well, good idea. Because I just have,
She
it's
does.
all assistant to principals and I have nothing else.
Okay.
She does organizing.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the two things that we talked was the bus with Lisville and the strategic plan, and the other thing was who the region used for their strategic plan.
Okay.
But that was,
So Amy's like she's the girl with all the keys at Nipmuc.
Is she the one that worked on the strategic plan? Maybe it was a strategic plan question.
Maybe.
Okay, I don't know. I hate when I write something cryptic. And I did.
that's all right. I can ask Lisa. She might remember too.
Right.
Yeah.
Watch the video.
He's good watching.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if it's a comparable person in this one. I think it's Ann still.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have, just a list of consultants from like emails that have gone out from people saying, these are the ones you should look at. There's at least 3 or 4 emails like that. These are the really, top-notch consultants to work with for strategic plan. And as I said, I'd like to work with somebody different
Mhm.
this time. So, I'll continue to look into that, but, that's it. It's just that question seems.
Okay.
Oh. Have a perfect note. Sorry.
The next meeting,
Next meeting.
I will put one caveat out there. May 7th is going to be candidates night, so I don't recommend.
And May 12th is the town meeting, correct?
Tuesday, yeah. May 12th.
The seventh's only the first.
That's true, it is the first Thursday, so the second Thursday is the 14th.
Okay, yeah, I know. There's the nonfiction book club was scheduled because we had to move it forward away from the teen book club, not the teen book club, excuse me, the awards book club. So we were scheduled to meet at 6:30 that night
On the 14th.
on the 14th.
Where are you gonna do it? Here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Footnote.
I have had library trustees on the 14th.
Because you did it for.
I do this like a
You're
permanent.
repeating,
It's just
It just
repeating. It does.
The election is the 17th, right?
Right.
The 19th.
Oh, the 19th, right, yeah, the week after.
Mhm.
So, I mean, are you gonna reorganize? I think you need to reorganize after
The
that,
election.
after the election.
So maybe the 21st.
21st would be smart, because then we'll know whether we were or were not elected.
The Is that
I feel like it's,
That's.
like, I feel like that came up that you're supposed to, actually, Lee probably remembers the details about like when you're supposed to reorganize.
Might have to be.
That's the next.
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah,
next
that-
meeting.
Yeah.
The next meeting after the election, I think you're right.
Well, that'd be cool. Then we could just knock it out on the 21st. Is that all right with you?
It's fine with me.
As long as it gets sworn in on 20.
Oh, that's right. We gotta get sworn.
Oh, yeah, you gotta get sworn in first.
Is that
Yes.
possible? Could be-
Yeah,
Yeah.
Elaine's great. Or Ellen's great.
No.
Or maybe.
Yeah, almost.
Also, I think the assistant town clerk can also. swear
we
people
have-
in, I think.
Go for it, Elaine.
What, huh? What? Are y'all talking to me?
Can the assistant town clerk swear people in after they're elected or appointed? Or does it need
I
to be?
believe so. Yeah. Do you want her to go to the trustees meeting? Is that what you're asking?
No, we'll come to her.
It's gotta be.
Okay.
video. That's the video I want. Everybody stands up.
Yeah, right. All right, so we will set forth to put the meeting on May 21st at 6 PM.
I won't be here. Maybe you wouldn't mind taking the minutes.
Of course not.
Thank you.
Um,
And I'll make sure I get one copy of these minutes out to everyone,
yes,
probably the week before.
okay.
You send as many copies as you want. There is no worries at all.
It's
I-
worth mocking.
I cannot tell you how many times I've hit the send button and not had the attachment there.
Wait, is everybody up for election this year or do we have?
No, just those two.
I think
It's set
I'm
up,
last year.
yeah, it's set up pretty well.
And then I'd be a year after you. Lisa and I would be the year after you. Okay.
Awesome. I'll put forward a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I didn't want to.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, shoot.
Oh, wait, Andrew's got something.
We
Oh,
didn't.
No, this is not anything you want to know. I have on the 21st, a procedure,
Okay,
That's okay, that's fine.
It's all good.
That's-
issue.
so good.
One of those things you do every 5 years or every 10.
Brush, okay.
28th?
Um,
Sorry.
We're in the discussion after the second, the seconding, so we're in the discussion phase of the motion. This was perfectly.
Yeah,
acceptable.
so it's
adjourn.
certainly,
Yeah.
We can have a discussion phase in it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Is that too late?
it's fine with me. I don't have I mean, we still have to wait till technically after the election anyways. It probably makes more sense, but,
Sure.
and then we don't have two major things going on, you know.
And then there's the mayor meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that could be a later meeting in June,
Yeah,
just because
exactly.
it'll be so close together.
Good discussion. So any other further discussion for the motion to adjourn? I'm sorry.
No, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we've closed the meeting at 7:42,
For the 28th, that's
28th at 6 PM.
Yes.
my apologies.
No.
So you guys would end up having the Friends meeting probably on the 25th then, right, Lee? Your May Friends meeting?
Who knows? It depends on everybody's travel schedule, so we'll
That's
see.
true. Okay. All right,
It's
perfect.
always up in the air, so we'll let you know.
Okay. All right, thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
I'm gonna stop the recording. You can stay on if you want. On, stop. There we go.
Excellent.
Stop.